going live.
We are live.
What is up, guys? We are here with the Cobra Kai stream, the one that we've been talking about for quite some time. We do this almost after every part, and I've had Omni here since like the third season, man. And
yeah,
Mike, man, I appreciate you, man. I really do, because you've been coming through. We've been able to have really good conversations about these characters. We've been rocking like Miyagi-Do merch and Cobra Kai merch when it was only available on Etsy. You know, it was we've been doing this for quite some time. So I'm really like I can't even say how excited I am to have you here for the final part.
I would not break tradition at this point.
Hell yeah, bro. I mean, we're only
what
missing...
curse that would bestow upon us, I'm not willing to face.
Nah, for sure. And again, this has been something that I've been really excited for because we do this all the time, and we're coming to the final. We're here at the final stretch, dude. It's really ridiculous to think about, but you know, we're here, and I'm just excited to see who's going to talk about it and who's willing to talk about it. Top comment already is Cobra Kai never dies, and that's one thing that's really important to what we got in the final part, considering that we didn't even what was it? We were curious on how they were going to end it. Like, the show's called Cobra Kai, and our primary dojo was Miyagi-Do.
Mm-hmm.
How did you guys kind of like think this was gonna go? Like, did you feel like things were kind of predictable? And even if it was predictable, did you think it worked?
I personally, for me, I kind of was feeling like, I think like the 5th season transitioned over to the 6th season. I was like, I mean, the show is called Cobra Kai,
for sure,
right? But you know, this all comes from the Karate Kid and what Miyagi-Do and the principles behind it. But at the end of the day, it's really about Johnny. It's Johnny's story. It's Miguel and Johnny's story. And I was curious to see who Johnny was going to become. And honestly, one of the most hyped things for me is cheering on the fact that they took back, you know, the mantle of Cobra Kai truly and made it their own. Like, the moment that Miguel, you know, came back, and they all had the Miyagi-Do. And I think even the last episode, to see Daniel, who was a former Cobra Kai, wearing the gi and everything, I don't know. It was
especially with how big a deal that is for him, how much of a pain point that has been for him.
Yep.
And almost him acknowledging Terry's own words at one point, where he was just like, you know, you just don't want to admit there's always been a little Cobra Kai in there. And when he was giving that pep talk to Johnny, it was almost like you could see he was like channeling it, because he, like, you see him like after Johnny like gives him that yes sensei and goes back out there, Daniel's just like, there's like still a little bit of energy like that. He's just like, oh, I tapped into the dark side for a second. I don't know. I love the way they played on that, because it was this hurdle for all of them to overcome.
Yeah. And I will say, the one thing that I really appreciated about this part was the amount of one-liners. And I know you're talking about kind of like Daniel and all that, but like, we got so many one-liners from characters that would normally not say something that, you know, they said. For an example, when like Daniel was talking to Johnny and he was like Cobra Kai isn't for pussies, you know, like just the way he was giving him that final speech, or even when he was talking to Terry and he was like, oh, what did he say? Like, you haven't heard? Cobra Kai never dies. You know, and it's like, just
it's not going to bother me at all.
Exactly.
Because he's matured past that.
Yeah, and it's like, to hear him saying these things it was amazing. We even got Robbie saying shit like that to
no fucking mercy.
No fucking mercy to Tori. Like, that was amazing.
Hell
and it's one thing that I really appreciated, because it's like with Daniel, for an example, this is the second time we got to see him in a Cobra Kai gi. Like, how cool is that? Like, to see him in all black, like they were really cooking in this part. And it's like, when shows are ending, you really get cautious on how they're going to manage, or how they're going to end things. Like, if they're going to do it on a good note, if they're going to make us satisfied. And I can say, I don't want to speak for you guys. I'm going to let you guys have your part, but I was really satisfied with the way they ended things in this part 3. How did you guys feel? Because they had a lot of things to wrap up, a lot of loose ends to tie up. And how did you feel with the way they ended things in part 3 of Cobra Kai?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I was kind of really assessing how this was going to lead into the new movie, The Karate Kid Legends. I was like,
Yeah.
how are they going to wrap this up to tie it in? And I think you asked, like, was it predictable? I don't think it was predictable. I think it was just satisfying. I think
Yeah.
that's the best way I can kind of explain it. It's like they've earned the way that they ended that. The only if I was trying to nitpick on anything, I would have loved to see like, something happen with Kreese or Silver, but honestly, there was no other trajectory of those characters. Like Silver was gonna die one way or another. Like he was gonna perish. And I think that moment with Kreese and Johnny was one of the most powerful things in this entire series.
Hmm.
Because if you go back to the first movie and what Kreese did and him acknowledging what that did to him, that was true transformation for Johnny. And I think we've always known that Kreese cared about Johnny, but it's like it all paid off with him truly giving over Cobra Kai to him. So that by the end of this, it was like they all had their own respective routes. Like
Yeah.
Johnny acknowledging what these factors are to the new generation, while at the same as that time Miyagi Do still teaching those principles and them working together. I don't know. It was just amazingly gratifying more than anything else. I don't think it was predictable. I think it was just what we wanted
Yeah.
more than anything.
Yeah, for
And I
sure.
will say they wrap things up in a really, really like great manner, in my opinion. I like Sam, I harassed you to react to episode 13 of season 6, which I don't know about you, Mike, or Omni, but me personally, I think it was one of the best episodes that we've gotten. I think it's like a top 10 episode of the series. Like we see another deep fake Miyagi. We have that moment with Daniel. We have Ralph Macchio in his bag talking about, talking to Miyagi. Same thing with Johnny Lawrence talking to Kreese. Like
Mhm.
some of the best acting we've gotten in the show, and then
And
on
then
top of that,
the ending.
Thunderstruck.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
So, what was kind of coursing through your veins, Omni, when you were kind of watching that for the first time? Like, how did you feel? Like, I gotta check
Oh,
out. I always watch your reactions when it comes to Cobra Kai. I've been slacking recently, but I will say that was one of my favorite episodes to react
mhm.
to, just because I haven't stood up and I haven't like gone crazy from my seat in quite some time. How'd you feel about that?
I loved it. I kind of agree with it probably being like I feel like one of the titular turning points of the show
For
because there's
sure.
so many like hinge moments in it. Like, and then of course we get into like some major moments in episode 14 and 15 and whatnot, but like this is like the true like lead in because our characters are kind of finally reconciling with who they are and where they're going because it's where Daniel finally realizes the whole point of all of this in the end was to not fight, and that's when Miyagi-Do pulls out.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Johnny finally settles in and is like, hey, I understand all this stuff. I'm still me, and I have to do this. And puts some, like, just kind of plants his flag in the ground and then works it out and gets back into the game. So it's like, as much as they've been trying to, like, deflect from certain things like the draw of Cobra Kai and all this kind of things, it was just all of them accepting the reality of the situation that they have and then committing to that. And I don't know, I liked all of that. And the fact that the kids got there before any of the adults could, which
Mhm.
was one of my favorite parts of the show, because it means that everything they've been doing, as much doubt as they've had, has been right
Yeah.
because they were able to figure out so much of this without even talking to them. Like this was all stuff Johnny and Daniel were still trying to figure out, but they were their hangups were with their own demons,
Yep.
Hmm.
but they were really good at least at a point of not allowing that to spread to the kids in the way that, like Kreese was putting his crap on Johnny's doorstep, as he said. And I don't know. So like at the end of the day, like Daniel said, it was like he achieved what he set out to achieve. He really doesn't have anything else to earn from this. It wouldn't benefit, but like Sam said, Tori kind of does. So
Mhm.
why should I compete and keep her away from that? Because like if they did fight, what if she does win? What does she get out of that in the end?
Yeah.
Tori needs this. So like she steps out of the equation completely. I don't know. There's so many moments like that. And then again, like many things, the dream sequence with Miyagi just highlights the fact that Daniel has literally always had the damn answers, but he's just always Daniel about everything and can't quite see it.
Right.
I know you were talking about how the show is going to lead in the movie, and I know that they wrote this without any idea that existed. So that's kind of a interesting trajectory they've kind of left the character in. Because I was just wondering about that too, since they were kind of worked on independent of each other. But they said that the Daniel that we meet in the movie, with retroactively being 3 years after Cobra Kai, they said he's more Miyagi like than he's ever been, is like what he's going to
Which
be
is
like,
gonna be
which
really
makes
cool to
sense
see, yeah.
after this.
After this,
Yeah.
it makes a lot of sense.
But one question I have, it definitely doesn't look like he's still a sensei, because the dojo doesn't look like it's active. So that's some questions that we'll have to address later. But
Yeah.
I'm really curious to see where that's all going to go. But it seems like, at least, like, I mean, it's 3 years, so who knows? Things can change. But
and I know we talked about this before, Omni. Like, we were talking about like possible references and stuff when it comes to the Karate Kid Legends. And it's like the more and more we get closer to it, like I just want more and more references to the show. I just want to be 100% confirmed,
Okay,
like,
you didn't hear this from me, but
like just to hear more about it,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just want
They
to
said
hear.
that while they didn't work on it, they did get to read the script and
That's
give
cool.
notes, so
That's
that there
always great to
shouldn't.
hear.
It's my understanding of the way they've talked about it is it's definitely going to be like more in line with just kind of stepping into a new film entry. So the goal was to make sure it doesn't conflict with anything they did.
Yeah.
So I feel like we probably won't get anything as far as like hard ties to the show, but just that nothing is going to be like nothing's going to be like, oh no, that doesn't make sense with what we know in the past. Like it's just not going to address it more than likely.
Like in the best possible outcome. I just want to see. I'd love to see like they're like, oh, he's not ready for the tournament. Wait, Daniel's like, oh, I have people that could possibly train him. And then he just pulls up to a sparring session with Miguel Hawk and like a couple other like champions, and it's just
I wouldn't
like I don't expect that. I'm gonna keep it up.
You already are. You brought it into
I'm sorry.
existence.
Like I'm not gonna pull up like a lot of the Marvel fans where they're like, oh, if we don't get this cameo,
I mean that's probably part of the
traffic.
reason why they're importing Daniel to China.
Yeah. But I mean, a lot of it seems to take place in like New York, right?
I'm pretty sure all that's in
really
Hong Kong.
Oh, see, I know nothing about this film, man. Either way, I'm gonna dive into it and we're gonna have a blast.
Yeah.
But again, like I am excited the fact that that like you said, it jumps like 3 years. He looks extremely different than what we've seen him in Cobra Kai. But again, after that moment in episode 13 with Miyagi saying, like you don't need to fight no more, and it's just the different ideologies that both Johnny and Daniel have. Where Johnny's like, like this is all I know, like this is all I have, and I think that character development, the amount of stuff that they wrapped up, and the amount of action, everything that they threw in episode 13, personally makes it one of my favorite episodes of the entire series. But since this is kind of like an entirety of the Cobra Kai, series, just discussion, what are your favorite episodes of the entire show, or which ones kind of stand out? Because there are a couple finales that come to mind.
Yeah,
I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say. Like maybe I'm gassing up episode 13, but like personally, I love the hell out of it.
I mean, if I talk about like standout like episodes, I would say season 2. Season finale stands out. Like I never would have anticipated like what would have went down in that. Like I was like, did they just kill Miguel? Like what just
Bro,
happened?
Yeah,
and when
dude.
Tori says to her, like, this isn't a tournament, bro. Like and then she pulls out the spiked brass knuckles. I'm like, girl, like
It
where are
got
your parents?
Relax.
Chill out.
it was so much going on that I really was so hyped. And I think what was even more interesting is the fact that Miguel kind of held back. And then for him to have that happen, like I was like, man, because it was the perfect turning point to go to the next season.
Yeah.
And I was like, how is he even gonna possibly get back to anywhere close to where he got? And then to see him where he is now, it's just, I don't know, it's just such a payoff. But that was one of my favorites and most standouts. I mean, outside of that, I would probably say like, when did they get into the fight in the house where Hawk came back on the side of
that was the season 3 finale, right?
The return of the Hawk.
Yeah,
that was season 3 finale. I'm pretty sure. And that's the thing. Like I remember that's when I like really started reacting to the show heavily, and I think that's when me and you first started our discussions. But
because that was when I started covering it on the channel beyond just reviews.
I think that was like the biggest outcome I ever had because I mean, again, Cobra Kai has done so much for my channel. Like I legit. I think I reacted to it when season 2 came out, but when season 3 came out, I reacted to I believe like 8 episodes in one day. It was the most reactions I've ever done, like when the show first came out. And my channel, I think I got like 1,000 subscribers in one day, which is the most I've ever done. And that was when we got to see Hawk turn and everything. And you know, it was one of the best moments because I'm just like there's no way they're gonna top season 2. And then we got like the Christmas music playing while Hawk is just beating down the Miyagi-Do members. Exactly. He's just like, and he's over here cussing. Like he's like, oh, what's up, pussy? And I'm like, bro, what? And then like 2 seconds later, he's like, oh shit, no, I'm Miyagi-Do again. And it really like the way things kind of like flipped over. It was just so fast. And I really love how they handled the season 3 finale. And that's kind of where I'm stuck because the season 3 finale and the season 2 finale are definitely up there as some of my top episodes of the entire show for sure. But that season 3 finale was special, especially with, I'm pretty sure that's when Allie returned, right?
Well, that was the episode or 2 before that.
Right before. Yeah, I think so.
No, I could have sworn she was in the finale.
She's in the finale.
Yeah, okay. That's
but she says her piece to Johnny and leaves the party. And then
yeah.
That's when he's like, I need to go talk to Carmen.
Yeah,
and then he runs in to find that Miguel got his ass beat.
That was in the finale. Yeah.
And then that's when he goes to the dojo for blood. But that was the most Star Wars stuff in that finale.
Oh,
man. I love that with him and Robbie. And
Robbie went full Anakin.
He did.
Had the kids not showed up, Daniel was going to kill Kreese.
Yeah.
And one thing
that was a impactful freaking finale. That also that season had the Chosen episode too, when Daniel goes to Okinawa.
Yeah.
And that was huge. I like those
when he learned the ancient scrolls, because he ended up learning the move that he used on Kreese in that finale. Yeah, and that was special. But that was really cool. That was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. The episode, the episode finale. I can't remember the episode number of season 6, part 1, where the fight with Tori and Sam, and that was not just so well acted. It was such a conflict. Like I think amongst all of us, we all collectively like, what was the right thing to do? Did Daniel not read the room, or did Johnny go too far? What was the right thing in this context? You know, like she literally lost her mom, and you know, for anybody that was a harsh situation to deal with. But it was such a good episode. Like it broke my heart. While at the same time, I was kind of like, I don't know what was the right thing to do. I think honestly, I would have went the Johnny route. But if somebody said like, no, like this is not the best thing for her, she needs to take a minute, and then we go back to this, even if we need to delay it. You know, I don't know. I just understand it on both sides, but it was so good.
Like for me, like I was just like, she doesn't need to be using Sam, who's not a willing participant in this or knowing participant in this unleashing of rage. I think she needed to definitely discharge this in a different way off of the mat,
Yeah.
maybe against Johnny. Like, I think Johnny's right. She needs to expel this demon, but not against her friends. I don't think Daniel was wrong, but I don't think they were also. There was a lot of assumptions being thrown around because of what this means for everybody. So everybody, I don't think anybody was reacting without some sense in some way. But if I had to side with anybody, I think the LaRussos were actually more in the right personally. But that is me.
Busy, you good?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Spaced out reading the comments.
Because they weren't saying she shouldn't compete or shouldn't fight. She just needed to like reset.
It's just hard because the perception was like this is LaRusso's daughter. You know what I'm saying? Like I understand from her perspective, like they're just either one, they're gonna give it to Sam or they're gonna give it away.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like she it's weird. Like imagine if the state championship is the next day and the day before that you lose somebody really special and you kind of feel like, I need to do this for them. Are you in the best headspace to do that? Not at all. You're emotionally compromised. But then for you feel like I've got to do this for my XYZ. And I think that's where Tori's mind went with it. That's why
100%.
It's just, I don't know. The situation was just bad. They wrote that really well. It was a really compromising situation. It wasn't a lazy scenario at all.
No, and I totally like the way that they did it and to get her to go to crease the way she did to make sure that she wasn't going to have to fight or potentially lose that spot, whether it be because she was off her game and legitimately loses or like she perceived in that moment because of everything else that they'd pick Sam no matter what.
Right.
Because that's kind of like what she was scared of. It's just like that's the demons whispering in her ear, like it has been the entire time, But like, I have a guaranteed spot, no matter what, if I go to crease. So she went to crease.
I just feel like the whole route with Sam, LaRusso and stuff. I feel like this was the most in character for her. Just everything, especially with the dream that Daniel had. Where it was like. A majority of the time when Daniel fought in the original movies, it was because he needed to. You know what I'm saying? Like he originally fought in that tournament because, he couldn't go through school without being harassed. Mm-hmm. And then with Chosen and the Karate Kid 2, like the dude literally was like, "Oh, let's
do
fight
it or I stab her."
Yeah, like he had
it was
to.
An option. Right.
And then in Karate Kid 3, we were in that dilemma where Miyagi was refusing to train Daniel for another tournament. And then it got to the point where these dudes were legit harassing Daniel. They were harassing Miyagi. And then they even tried to jump Daniel. Kreese
multiple times.
His death over a high school tournament. And when he got there, he was like, "Oh shit, you're still alive?" And then that's when Miyagi showed up and was like, "Okay, yeah, like these guys are probably they're insane. We gotta train. I'm gonna train you."
Right.
And then we're here with Cobra Kai, and it's like it's kind of a similar situation, but where it's more tournaments than anything. Season 3, of course, we had season 3 and season 2. It was legit fight for your self-defense, fight for your life, But
yeah, for sure.
To kind of go back around to where it's not just an action show, we go to the season 6 episode 13 where she comes forward and she's like, "Yeah, I don't know what I'm fighting for anymore," and I think that was kind of one of the perfect routes we could have gone.
Sam's
for
had
with
one of
LaRusso's
the
character.
Most interesting arcs to me.
Yeah,
growing up and the way
PTSD.
she does. She had PTSD from all of that. She also was carried around Daniel's baggage because he was so gung ho about the Cobra Kai thing and how toxic and dangerous that is. And then once Miguel has his little Vader moment, his misunderstanding moment, and you brought him to kill me.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? I don't know if you guys have watched any of the interviews recently, but a lot of people are like gassing up the actor that plays Hawk, Jacob Bertrand, because he has like longer hair in the interviews, and people are comparing him to like Hayden Christensen's look from Revenge of the Sith, and people
can
are like,
see it.
"Oh man, we can see this dude playing this character." When it's like when not too long ago, we had like Tanner, who of course plays Robbie, who was like quite literally mimicking everything Anakin kind of went through
Yeah.
in the season 3 finale. And it's like there's so many parallels, which just made the show so much more fun for people who are like Star
Like it
Wars
was
fans.
so. I feel like very intentional throughout most of it, because that's the one way to kind of look at it. You try to paint these things as this evil or the good side, or the light side or the dark side, Cobra Kai or Miyagi Do.
Yeah.
And then the lesson by the end of the day is it's not really just like how, I mean, this is kind of an older EU concept, is like the force is just a tool. It's the user that really decides what to do with it. And at the end of the day, these are the lessons they're passing on. It's up to them to decide how it's going to be used. They're putting it, they're trying to like cram everything into these boxes because of their personal experiences with it. And it was affecting some of the kids for a long time. Because like that, when that, like I was saying with that situation with Sam and Miguel, when he had that little outburst at the party at the lake, she was like, "Oh, it is bad," and then she kind of creates the animosity from Tori because she automatically assumes she's up to no good and she's Cobra Kai, so she's got to be bad. Like it just instills these issues, and it's like she's, unlike Miguel growing up, like not in a family like the LaRussos, who's at this point of like are just super well off and all these things. And, on top of being almost kind of brainwashed into falling into Daniel's like weird hatred of Cobra Kai, which you understand why he is, but it becomes obsessive to a point where it's self-destructive, and especially as an adult when that childhood trauma creeps back up, and he's almost passing that on to her. Then also she's like, they keep throwing around this like, you're going to go to this school, you're going to be oh no, look, here comes the next auto king or queen or whatever. Like there's the whole thing of like, she like for the longest part of the series has no real idea who she is or what she wants.
Yeah.
And then the whole thing with Tori just sends her spiraling. And like watching her rebound from all of that over these last 3 seasons has been really interesting. Because I think like you could look at Miguel and Robbie, you kind of see the roadmap a little bit for them. And with Sam, I was always really interested because I wasn't exactly sure what they were going to do with her. And by the end of it, hell yeah, she was pretty much Daniel 2.0.
She really
in the
was,
end, but in a better way.
Yeah, because
I liked all that.
Both of them never, in my opinion, changed or conformed for anybody. Like they stayed exactly who they were supposed to be. And I think the interesting thing about it, and like you said, like the levels of abuse and the things that they both did to each other, like it was very toxic. It was dangerous. And it's like you see that in both Johnny and Daniel, but some kind of a way, these kids were able to round it all out with love interests involved as well.
Yeah.
With like PTSD involved, with like family members like involved. They still found a way of like making up to each other and becoming true sisters. And it's even more interesting because in the very beginning, which I thought was so interesting, like, we all were rallying behind Miguel, especially first and second season, right? But a part of me, even in the first season, I was like, this no mercy thing, I don't know how this is going to shape this man's character. As much as it's making him to be this weapon, this is going to hurt him in the long run. What does this mean? And eventually, it was kind of like shaping Miguel to be like the bag. And I was like, this cannot last. I was like, Cobra Kai will die with Miguel if this doesn't change. And then when they started to pit Robbie against him, and Robbie started to go down a decline as well, it made it so much more interesting Because
Yeah.
by the time they came to resolution, they truly, literally became brothers. But it was
Yeah.
always also this true understanding that Miguel was first. Like
Mhm.
he was him, right?
Oh
Even though
yeah.
we know that Robbie is more than capable. And it's not to say like Miguel is Goku and Robbie is Vegeta, but you know, in the confines of this show, like I love how they brought them full circle.
100%.
Because at the tournament, the sixth season, I was kind of like, I don't know how Miguel's gonna stand this. And he literally was getting ticked off. He's like, dude, you need to wise up. Like, step
My
up.
favorite thing
Good.
in that too, like when because like he really is like the best of both worlds, because in his own way, like he gives his own, like Daniel is the speech guy, right? You go to when you need to get a little hyped up. And Miguel kind of has that, but in a very Johnny way.
Yep.
Like, because he tackles all this stuff head on, and that moment when Robbie's in his head gearing up to fight Axel, and he's like, after he gets like laid into by Miguel, he's just like, that little reaction from Robbie where he's like, whoa, you sound like my dad. I was like, that's fucking right, he does. I was like, oh, I like that too, because like, I don't know, it's just like, well, I mean, like with how they kind of turned out too. It was Sam and Miguel, and it was Sam and Robbie that were finally okay, kind of stepping back, and they were also the first actual two Miyagi-Do students, the originals there.
Yep.
And while it wasn't Aisha, it was the first and second, technically, female Cobra Kai that we had in the show. That was a pivotal character. So they just kind of ended up going back to the roots, but also just being comfortable in their roots, which is what I really enjoyed about it as well.
Right. Like there's no they're not tainted.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like it's not like
'Cause it-
Kreese created this. This is something very different. And it was really because of everything that Johnny's put into this, for good or bad. Like this is them. But yeah.
And that's what he was learning too, like you were talking about with Miguel kind of being crafted in the bad guy. That was part of the learning experience for Johnny, because he was still going, when he started off, he was going right back into what he knew. And then because he got to see it firsthand, especially after his own personal experiences with Kreese, he was like, oh, wait, I need to pivot, because now I see what's happening here. And he, from that point forward, tries to instill some kind of his own semblance of balance into the system. It's like, you know, sometimes you do need to show mercy. You know, like life's not always a war and all this kind of things. Like if you want to be a badass, be a badass. Don't cheat. Don't kill the weak lion or whatever, or the gazelle, like he said. It's like you want to be the one that takes out the lion. You don't want to take out the straggling like animal that's weak and limping or whatever. You want to be king. Is like play fair or don't play at all, which is different than how Kreese was handling everything, because he was the one who was like, sweep that freaking leg, break that kid's leg. I don't want to see him get to the end of this.
Right.
And I don't know. I just don't be a pussy. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's so many different moments. Because honestly, one of my favorite fights, because I didn't know how it was gonna end, was this fight right here.
Oh
Their real true fight. They started fighting and like Johnny pushed it, but they were about to freaking kill each other all over again. And how they resolved it, it was well choreographed, but it was very intense.
Also, like it set it up yet again into a perfect little well, I mean, to be fair, the fall is not even remotely close to the same. But they put it into a position where Miguel had the opportunity to do what Robbie did to him. But again, shows mercy.
Yep.
And Robbie, having gone through his own like trials there, came out on the other side and was able to be like, hey, you know what? I fucked up. I know I did. It was like, you know, that was the worst day for you. That was the worst day of my life. You know, it sent him spiraling into like criminality.
Right.
He's on the run after that, understandably, but still.
Yeah.
I don't know. The way they handle all these characters, like even as much as like there are some moments that are like extremely soap opera or repetitive, like Johnny and Daniel's song and dance throughout these seasons. We get together, something happens, we fight. We get together, something happens, we fight. And then, at least like when that started to happen again, it didn't last for long in this season, in the final season, like in part 2, I think. You know, they have that little spat, and then Miguel's like, guys, get your heads out your asses. Please, stop it. Get help.
So, what are your thoughts, guys, on Sensei Wolf as a villain? So, Louis Tan has been in various things, and I know we're kind of switching things up pretty fast. But one thing that he was in was Mortal Kombat, of course, Shadow and Bone. He's been in a lot of things. How do you guys feel about his addition to Cobra Kai?
Dude, he had some. Every scene he was in, he was like owning that moment. I
Mhm.
really enjoyed that. And one, he's one of the few people in the show that knows what he's freaking doing.
Yep.
Like he's a martial artist. Like that is
Yep.
his craft, and he carries himself in this way that just blends right in the show so well. And to pit him on the opposite side, it is like, if you know like about his history, I mean, I think you could tell just in the way that he operates and they shoot his stuff, you know, that this guy does he's where he is because he knows what he's doing. And how that he's being leveraged in the way that Mike Barnes was almost by Terry yet again, his rent a dojo, because if he can't get what he wants, he'll go find some other group of people, pay them off, and do it. I love that fucking line
And one thing,
from Priest, man.
One thing I really like about his character is the fact that he what is it called? Has done a shit. I'm totally blanking out on what I was saying. Fuck. You know, I'm gonna let you guys continue. I totally forgot what I was saying. Having a brain fart, bro.
No, I mean the thing is like.
Oh shit, I remember.
Go ahead.
So he was an Iron Fist.
Yeah.
And he had a he was like what, the Drunken Fist, I think is what his character was called.
Well, he was initially trying to be Johnny Rand.
Okay,
He was trying to play Danny Rand.
And it's like
they didn't go that route.
But in the show, he was playing like a drunken version of Iron Fist, essentially.
Yeah.
And it's like the one thing that I kept getting in my head was when he was when he was fighting, especially when he was starting to fight Johnny Lawrence, which we can get into like how you guys feel about the Sensei versus Sensei fight, because I honestly think that was ridiculous, but I loved it at the same time. But it was the fact that like when he was like in his stance, he was doing like the like, you know, like the whole thing like that, and it just kept reminding me of how he was fighting in Iron Fist. Yeah, exactly, like he's
so good, man.
He was ridiculous in that show.
I hate him
so fun to watch.
Good.
He's phenomenal, man. He's one actor that anytime I see him in the show, like I know we're about to get some dope ass action sequences, like hands down. And they really, really did a good job with this show, because it's like we knew like without even showing him fight, we knew like hell, if he's the sensei of this dojo, like shit's gonna be crazy. Like he's gonna be dangerous. So it's like they did a really, really good job with kind of developing and portraying his character. Because even after he lost to Johnny, he still respected the sport and bowed. But then after he bowed,
I mean, that's the thing I said too. Well, yeah, true. But he also, had he won, his benefactor wasn't there to give him anything that he wanted in the end, which was kind of funny. So even if he won, he wasn't going to. His deal with Terry was going to fall through because, well, Terry's at the bottom of the ocean somewhere. But he just did a really good job. He was, I mean, at the end of the day, he's kind of a vehicle to represent the old Cobra Kai, just with a different skin, a different face. With Terry Silver, again, kind of being behind the scenes, being the one refusing to change or let go or move on. And even Kreese, by the end of it, being able to finally kind of confront his own demons and learn and adapt after this kid died doing what he had been preaching the entire time.
Yep.
You know, even when he had that, I thought the moment of reflection was really going to be when he was in prison. You know, when he actually is like, "Hey, John, I know what you're doing. I know this song and dance. I've been here a long time. You're just trying to say what you think I want to hear and not actually do the work." And then he starts going through those moments where he's confronting like the people that have affected him or he's affected in his life in the little therapy session. He has that moment where he's face to face with like young Johnny and whatnot. And you know, I thought that was going to be his turning point moment, but then he recoils and goes the other way.
Mhm.
And I think that's just by the end of the show, I think that was like a defense mechanism because I think that is his point of shame that he's afraid to face. So he puts on a game face, goes back to what he knows, and tries to just power through it. But then Quan's death happens, and he's just not able to do that anymore. Even when he's back at the camp there, and their sensei is like putting the kids all through the ringer for failing at the tournament and punishing the kids for their screw up. Like Kreese was like, he just couldn't stomach it.
Yeah.
I think like he tried to, because you saw him like when the sensei came out, I forget, and he like grabs his collar like he does, like his default animation stance. Like he goes to grab his collar and kind of put his Kreese mask on, but then you can see like when Yoon starts getting ravaged, and then they start going through all the other kids, like you can see him like loosen and drop the grip on his collar. It's just like as he's at a point where he can't do it anymore. And I was like, damn, this is so good. I like the character work and especially in these last 5 episodes, because I don't think the whole season was very perfect. Like
Oh,
part
for
1
sure.
and 2 had some pacing issues, I think,
Yeah.
and the Dimitri and Hawk thing was absolutely annoying as shit.
Why, you didn't like the fact that he was going to MIT? It said I was going to MIT 20 times just for him not to go to MIT.
And then
Yeah,
they're just their feud.
I think they just did that to have some kind of story thread between them without any kind of. But
Yeah,
I mean,
I kind of get that because it's like realistically they needed to find a way to kind of include some of these important characters that they've had throughout this entire franchise. But you got to be realistic, man. In part 3, there is so many characters that didn't even get a line. You know what I'm
Devin
Yeah.
saying?
had I first
But-
time through, I didn't think Devin said a word, but she got one line.
Yeah, and
Kenny and
episode
Anthony,
15.
if it wasn't yes sensei at the end when they all
They
say it
keep
together,
saying
that's
sensei.
it.
yeah, I mean, I
Kenny
would have
didn't
rather
even say a
seen.
damn word.
I would have rather
Which
seen.
is fine, I think, because I think their arc resolved in the
The way it
last
ended,
part.
yeah, the way it ended with them at Cobra Kai, I was 100% okay with that. So
Yeah.
that made me kind of like happy with it all. And it's like at the same time, I was kind of like I know a lot of people in my comments were saying the same damn thing too. Like, dude, I'd watch a spinoff with Anthony and Devin and Kenny, but at the same time, we don't
Right.
need it. But still, it's just the headcanon knowing that they're like kicking ass is just enough for me.
Yeah, I would love to see more of Kenny. I'm not even gonna lie. Like Kenny
He's
is
great.
such an interesting character that to me, it'd be interesting to see the road he goes down. And like it was interesting, like I forget what the episode was when this scene came up, but he knew, oh, that's Miguel, he's him. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna step at this man. Like he would legit put a hurting on me. But I just think that, the biggest thing when he got to the tournament, I was like, okay, they're gonna use him. I really felt like that was one of the things that was kind of lacking. I didn't really feel like they really utilized him as much as they really could have. But one of the things you brought up was, I mean, the Dragon members and how well, some of them performed as far as martial arts. And of course, my man, he's one of the best, but a lot of people ain't giving her credit. I researched that she is an amazing martial artist.
13-time world champ.
Yeah, bro, she's
Right.
actually insane, dude.
Right.
That's the thing. Like you can watch this. Like I said this in my one of my videos is like you can watch and acknowledge that a lot of these actors legitimately got good at karate over the course of shooting the show.
Mm-hmm.
But then when they put in people like Louis Tan, Reyna, Thomas Ian Griffith,
Mhm.
just even him, man, because like he's
Who
a
was
black
2
belt.
years younger than Daniel LaRusso, which is actually insane to me.
Yeah.
2 years younger than Ralph Lachlan.
And like you can tell just in the way their bodies work and move that they've lived this their whole life.
Yeah.
Because like they like it. I don't think they used there's. I don't think they ever used a single stunt double for Reyna the entire time.
Right.
I'm almost 100% confident about that. Like the flips, all of it. That's all her.
It's all her. It's all her.
And like she commits to every move.
Old school right here.
Yeah,
Dang,
dude.
bro, look at that.
Yo.
What a photo.
Oh, love it. What's I gonna
Blanked
say?
out.
Yeah, I had a busy moment.
Silver messed
He
him
had a
up.
busy moment.
Had a busy moment. There you go.
Dude,
Here's more
look at
Silver
that,
kicking you in
man.
the face.
Yeah,
That
dude.
picture,
His kicks
damn.
are nasty.
They
And it
are.
doesn't help that he's like 800 feet tall
Yeah,
already.
he's tall.
You see one of those feet coming at you, he's going to catch your face.
Yep.
And he can
Absolutely.
still throw that shit around like it's nothing. I like that. Like I know you brought up Sensei Wolf and his super move, his tournament illegal move or whatever that he was using in his underground fighting. He was about to whip out for Johnny there on the mat, and I like that they were setting up, like visually they were teeing up, like if you didn't know better, a crane kick. You know, because they had talked about it earlier. Yep. The only reason that worked is because you ran right into it. And just before that, Daniel was like, he's pissed.
Yeah.
I know you're hot. I know you got your fire going again, but he's mad and he's going to be coming at you and you can use that. Mm-hmm. And he had that moment for him and he pulled the foot back. He curled the toe up. He did he's like, oh, is he? No. Johnny, no? Is Johnny? I mean, we know they were practicing it. It was in their montage. And they talked about it earlier that episode, but then he used his. He swept the leg. He did the thing Kreese told him to do that he didn't in the right time. But he learned and let him come to him.
Yep.
And it's just the way they take all of these lessons from everything and pull it together so that everybody is like the best version of themselves by the end of it, because he very much could have done a crane kick by the end, but that would have been Johnny doing like Daniel's move.
Right. It wouldn't have been him doing him. Right.
Yeah. And I like that they, as much as I fell into the trap, I was like, oh, crane kick. When he started to sweep the leg, I think I got even more of a chub. So I was like, I was so ready for that, man. It was so good.
And that's the thing. Like I kind of expected it to happen, but at the same time, I just know I could already hear people chirping about how like lame the ending was. You know, with the ending with the same way that Johnny did things, bro. But still, I mean, I was really impressed with how they handled things, even if it didn't end in a crane kick. It was just really cool how they kind of handled things, because it's like, with the way Louis Tan's character, Sensei Wolf, he was dangerous, man. Like this dude legit had to, like, they needed to double him up in the part 2 finale because of how crazy he was. So the fact that Johnny was able to take him out at the end was it was impressive. You know, it was cool. Even if we needed the Flash type of dialogue or monologue in order to encourage him, it was still really cool.
Look, people cannot complain if they got this moment. They got a training montage.
Bro, we got the Rocky montage, dog.
Yeah,
like
dude.
There's no complaints from me. Like he
got the full Rocky 3 treatment there.
Right. Yeah. No.
It was great.
Like, and just like kind of before, you know, again, he was very representative of the values of the old Cobra Kai, because he also had 3 illegal strikes during that fight too. never got 1 point deduction.
Yep.
And just messing with him the whole time until he finally got his. But I like that, like, as much as he was mouthing off and all of that, like, he does respect the game. Because, like, we saw with with Mike when he was in Cobra Kai 3, when they were told to bow with their students, I don't think Mike bowed. I know at one point somebody never bowed to the pro tag, and I'm pretty sure it was Mike, but even he at the start of every round bowed, and when he lost, he was mad, but he bowed. Like, so there is a level. I don't know. He's an interesting character. I'd follow him on a journey to see if maybe he's got his own Johnny arc after all of this. I don't know.
And I think that was really cool too, because we got that mention. Of course, him coming out in what was season 5 was already such a blessing. But for him to be in the beginning of season 6 was fantastic. But we got that mention in the end of season 6 with what's his name? I forget what his name was, but the guy that was working with Terry, and he was just like, "Oh, burning down a furniture store is one thing."
Yeah,
Like,
Dennis.
Kidnapping a child is a whole different ballpark. So they were clearly doing some crazy shit, but it was just really interesting to see kind of the different levels throughout the years.
Especially because that tells you that, like, because him and Mike rolled together, but he's also the one that burned his store down. So, like, it also just shows the lack of loyalty there as well. Because that was part of his crew from back then. Juxtapose that with Johnny and like his crew, and they're all still tight. Hell, one of them married him. Not married him, but officiated. I don't know. It's some all kinds of great stuff, man. And while and hell, they got Daryl Vidal back, and he created the crane kick. Brought him in to ref the final matches and stuff like that.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's really cool.
Yeah, he was one of the choreographers and stuntmen on the original Cobra Kai. Karate Kid.
I think when me and you, Sam, watched it, we were just like, "Damn, they're really bringing everyone back." As soon as they saw him, because they showed, I think, a clip of him from the first movie.
Yeah,
and we're just like, yeah, they're doing everything they can to bring every single human being back, and it was just
that they can at least.
Exactly, yeah. And it's like there's one character that I think we missed, and that was Julie.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I didn't expect her to have a huge role. I wanted a cameo. When they were showing Johnny's last kind of brawl and everything, they were showing like different people observing and watching the actual fight. We had the character from the pawn store, who we haven't seen in a while. We even had the character from the first episode where Miguel bought his Pepto-Bismol. We had them both sitting next to each other, and I expected them to kind of showcasing different people watching it in different areas to showcase how important and how big the Saikai Taikai was. I kind of thought we were going to get an Aisha cameo of her watching the Saikai Taikai. I thought we were going to get a Julie cameo of her watching the Saikai Taikai. I was kind of holding out for it because they were like showing different people watching the show.
In the post credits, when Johnny left the table, my brain was like, either he's going off to go to the restroom and he's going to bump into somebody on the way, like maybe Kreese survived. If it was going to follow Johnny and be somebody he bumped into, I was like, oh, maybe Kreese survived.
You thought we were going to get like a Dark Knight type situation where
and then I was like, if we stayed with Daniel, I was like, oh, Johnny left a seat. Is somebody going to sit down? And I was like, this would be a cool Julie moment. But then we got the flashback and then the fly slap instead thing, and I was like, that was cute. I like that. I like that a lot.
Moment just reminding us where it all started. And don't get me wrong, I love Cobra Kai, but just to
this storyline was supposed
Miyagi
to
was great.
Be tied to her character.
Really?
The passport. Yeah, they said they left a bunch of breadcrumbs because they were still trying to get her on board. So they wanted to kind of craft something, and if they needed to, it wouldn't be enough that if they have to cut it, it's not going to destroy everything. But she, as much as they tried, she didn't want to come back.
She's mentioned it too in interviews.
In interviews, though, she said they hadn't reached out. So we got two conflicting narratives.
Yeah, I mean,
because Machio and the writers said they've tried to make this happen for a while, but
I
And
mean,
I don't know. So
she
who knows?
she may be holding out, guys. She may be holding out for the film. I mean,
Oh,
it's
stop it! No,
Karate
you
Kid
cannot do that.
legends. No, I'm saying, think about it.
I'm
You're bringing Jackie Chan, which was one incarnation of Karate Kid. You got, of course, your boy Danny now is in it.
Oh,
It's
stop!
legends. I'm not hyping it up, but I'm
You
saying
get me excited.
I mean we
it's a possibility that she just wanted to hold out for the movie. I mean, I would.
maybe.
And I ain't gonna lie.
I'd be even more shocked if she showed up in that, but because well, I mean, I don't know, maybe. I mean, if they bring back the legends, all of the Karate Kids, that would be one way to do it. That would be
All
the
right.
place to do it.
No, for sure. Sammy has to get out of here, so though we're saying goodbye to him, we are getting our boy Chainsaw out here. Doing a
What's up,
cool
dude?
little transition out here. What? No, you cut off the head of the snake and two grows, and we gotta get one more person. Fuck.
Yeah, exactly. Get your mouth skills right. Come on now.
But yeah, no, Sam, I appreciate you, my man. I appreciate you being here, and
Yeah, I'm glad I finally got in, man, because I was worried I wouldn't be able to get in at all for any of the season.
nah,
6.
for sure,
So
man.
it was excellent, man. Omni, it's good to see you. Chainsaw,
Always.
I
Yeah,
trust this with you.
Yeah, he's got to leave because we got beef. We never do streams.
They got
together,
beef.
so-
That's not it. That's not it.
Sammy, you gotta work on yourself, my man.
Virtual restraining order.
Look, I'm
There.
always here. I'm in the
50
background.
seconds apart, man. You gotta figure it out. But again, Sam, thanks for being here, man.
Nah, for sure. All right, guys.
See ya.
Take it easy, man.
So me, Sam, and Omni have been chatting it up, Chainsaw. I appreciate you being here, for sure. So I'm gonna let you have the stage, my man. I want you to talk. I want you to yap.
I woke up and told my wife, I'm like, God damn it, I missed it. I was like,
I saw your
shit.
message. You were like, "Shit, I just woke up. How long
just
are you streaming for?" I'm like, "Dude, just join. We got this."
Oh, all right, man. I'll just ramble. You want to just ramble?
How do you feel about part 3 out of specifically compared to part 2 and part 1?
Well, it's hard to compare because part one's like the kind of appetizer leading up to, like, because we know we had 15 episodes. Part 2 was amazing. I think part 3, it's kind of hard to say if it was better. I think in some instances it is better than part 2, but I think overall the show stuck the landing, and I'm glad we got 15 episodes instead of 10, because I don't know how you could have condensed this to 10 unless you just bypassed all of the setup for the Sekai Taikai in part 1.
They would have been able to do it, but realistically, it's like just to see how little certain characters got screen time in part 3. It's like just imagine how little characters would have been able to finish their arcs in 10 episodes. You know, like would have been insane.
I would say that's my one critique is that I understand. Yeah, we had 10 episodes prior, but there's a lot of characters who hardly get anything. Like they may have one like single scene, or like they have an episode like Hawk. He really isn't a huge part of part 3 besides the training episode and episode well, I call it 2, but it's episode 12. Other than that, he's just kind of in the background with like a line or two here and there. Like there's not really much they're doing with him besides, oh, they're going to go to school together. We all knew that was going to happen. I mean, it's not like a surprise. But I think in terms of the ending, they did a great job. It's not perfect, but I hate they did the best they could because they had a lot of things they had to wrap up. Of course, Sam had a huge exit, but Hawk and Dimitri, just in a montage. That's fine. It's like, but these are pretty big named the characters that they created and introduced and had so many changes and all this. Like, you think they would have more of a better wrap up than, oh yeah, he's just back with his girlfriend now and they're going to go to school together. Okay. I don't know. Maybe there's plans for those characters, or maybe because I really do think that they're planning a spinoff.
They're planning. They're pitching 2 currently.
What are the 2? Do we know?
We've got no details, but they said they're pitching 2 ideas at the moment that they're workshopping.
I bet Tori and Robbie is one of them.
I think one is a young Miguel, or not young Miguel, a young Miyagi story.
Ooh,
I wouldn't be surprised with how
they have that actor that they cast for young him.
Because episode 10 has the Sekai Taikai that Daniel dreams about, where he's facing younger Miyagi. I think the Tori and Robbie, I think that's a spinoff they probably
Which-
are working on because they set it up to where they're going to be continuing in that world. And I just don't see a world where they can't, a few years down the road, have these characters come back and then you bring forth Hawk and Dimitri, or you bring Sam in for an episode or two.
Yeah.
Miguel. I feel like it's a no-brainer.
Or the Adventures of Sensei Wolf.
I would. I like Louis Tan.
Yeah.
I'd love to see him like as a bounty hunter in this universe using karate.
What the hell?
Some crazy shit, bro.
Yeah.
I don't want a tame story with this man. He
Have
is
you-
like really good at playing an unhinged
But yeah,
character, and I want an
the-
unhinged character.
The tournament death in Miyagi's days never got resolved, so I thought maybe that was either going to be a loose Julie thread that got cut, or
Mhm.
something because they resolved the necklace and the whole
Yeah.
news article thing. We got an answer
Well,
for
that-
that, but we didn't get an
That was
answer
more of an
for-
impactful thing for Daniel, was that that there was a charge and there was an
Mhm.
assault, and okay, that makes sense. Okay, I understand
So,
why you did it. So
Yeah. Because there's always more to the story, Daniel.
always.
God.
It's too convenient that his mother knew the story, never mentioned it a peep or anything until the pearls came out. Like, that's the one thing I'm like, guys.
Well, I wonder if
could've-
that was supposed to come from Julie or not originally, because they
That's
said they were
possible.
seeding stuff for her, but they couldn't get her, so they maybe recrafted it when they couldn't.
Oh, yeah. It just felt kind of weird. Have y'all discussed the whole thing about how they never actually, no one found out that Kreese and Terry died?
yeah,
like,
that's
no
one
like
knew.
one thing that
Because
just
they
super
mentioned
got
it once.
glossed over.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Wolf-
because
Wolf's like,
it was
"We're
Wolf.
Silvers."
He was like, where is he? And
He's
that's
like,
it.
where the hell is
That's
Silver?
it. That's all.
That's literally
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And I
Oh,
think
that's
that was
like the one
really
thing,
important.
because like if you know me, I like when my villain sees their defeat, and he did. I mean, he realized in that moment, sure, he lost, but like the gratification I would have got for Silver to see Daniel and Johnny holding that trophy up, wearing Cobra Kai geese, would bring me so much joy. And not only that, for them to be the ones that franchise successfully, because that was his whole thing. He wanted to spread Cobra Kai to the world, open up multiple dojos, and guess what happens at the end of it? They're opening up another Cobra Kai. Well, f you, Terry.
That's brutal. It's like, and I was seeing people talking about in my comment section, like they were like, they really went out like 80s villains. Like they really went out like a pair of 80s villains.
Oh my
And it
god.
was so
Like, Kreese-
dramatic. This is a karate. This is a high school karate tournament,
Dude.
and y'all are blowing up a yacht, dog. What are we
hey,
doing?
he was literally tied to like this group of kids that were being trained assassins.
Oh my
Mhm.
god, bro! This was
So,
elite
like-
Yeah.
assassins. This
Because
is
that's what
nuts.
they were doing at that point. It's like, it's time for a new lesson. And he brings out the murder scroll.
Oh my
And
god!
he starts like his
Ripping
whole
out the
and
ribs
he was like,
and shit.
if you want to lead this dojo, you're gonna have to do something. And it's like, well,
Crazy.
some old guy's getting murdered tonight.
Yeah, my wife literally said as the fight was happening on the boat, "We're just watching two old men fight." I'm like, "Yeah, pretty much." Like it's all stunt doubles, but yeah, we're
Well,
watching two old men fight.
for Cove for sure.
Oh
I don't
yeah.
know if Ian had one in that. I don't know why I
Hey,
said Ian Thomas.
Well, you could tell even Cove had a lot of stunt work during the season 3 fight with Johnny
yeah.
and then Daniel. Yeah, you could tell, which is fine. It's whatever, because once you
because
just
he just can't move like that at that age for him.
yeah, once you
But
bypass that, it's still cool.
then
Like,
Terry's 2 years younger than Daniel.
yeah, that's weird how that, like, he literally looks older than him in Karate Kid 3, but yet the age, like, it's just so weird age wise.
Ralph
I mean,
just
Ralph
got
Macchio
that
got the
magic
baby face.
juice.
Yeah,
does.
bro.
I think the
but-
finale could have been longer. Honestly, like the final episode could have been longer. I know it was 49 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
roughly around where the finales have always kind of been over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But they could have easily done an hour plus. I mean, there's so much more they could have wrapped
Mm-hmm.
up or done just more for these characters.
hmm
So I don't know.
Where
But at the
everybody
same
ended, I'm
time-
like 1000% satisfied, I think.
Yeah, and that's the thing. At the same time, like I'm really happy with what we got. And there's a lot of times where there's shows where they end and it's like they could have done this, they should have done this, you know? But with Cobra Kai, the only thing we're mad about is that like we just didn't get more time with the characters. Like I'm not like
Yeah.
saying I'm not upset that they should have done this instead. I'm just upset where it's like, dang, I didn't get to look at his face longer. So it's like I'm happy with the
Yeah.
route that they went.
I want to
I'm just
gaze
upset
into
we
his
didn't get more
eyes.
time. Exactly. I wanted at least 10 seconds of eye contact with these characters, you know. It's salty that we didn't get more time with them. That's really it. You know, it has
my
nothing to
God.
do with the way the story went. It's just necessary. It's just the fact that we had less time with the characters. You know
When we
what I'm
talk
saying?
about the
I'm happy
80s
with
villain commitment, man, like when it's slow mode and Terry realized he grabbed that cigar butt and he's just like, no. And then Kreese just, mercy. I fucking
Fantastic.
like my soul left my body in that
So
moment, man. That was
dramatic,
so
man.
hilarious.
It was
That was so cheesy.
at first I didn't understand what he said, and then when I went back and looked at the clip to get for like a short I did, I'm like, oh my god, he said mercy. Oh god, okay. But it's whatever. If people were pointing out too, because did Kreese's woman when he was in the army, did she die?
Yeah.
And he wasn't told. Yeah. So there was this like thing.
Yeah, he
someone
said that she
posted-
wrapped her car around the tree. I think. Is
Yeah.
what he said.
So there was this thing that someone made where it was like the young Kreese and that girl in that flashback from like seasons ago. And when Kreese makes a sacrifice, he's then welcomed by her. Like he finally got to reunite with her after all these years.
Yeah.
And did a
I
noble
saw
thing.
that.
It's like I was like, that's
You think
nice.
they were gonna pull like a Superman and Lois type of finale where he
Mm.
pulls up and sees her in a red dress?
That would have been that would have been funny.
That would have been
That
awesome.
would have been good.
the one character that
They
pulled up for,
drive
like,
off
5
like
minutes.
Fast 7 style and
Oh my god!
No,
Yes.
no, they drive off like they drive out like Grease, where they're just flying up in the air. Doesn't make any fucking sense. They're just
Phenomenal,
floating.
man.
Have
That's
y'all
carried
talked?
up
Cobra
by
right there.
bats.
Cinema.
Sorry,
Have-
snakes.
Have y'all talked about the
Snakes.
Johnny and Kreese kind of like what do you say reconciliation? I guess.
So we did
We
break it
touched
down a
on it,
little
but we
bit.
didn't really
I mean,
dive into it too deeply.
I kind of mentioned how it was probably one of my favorite moments because episode 13, I was mentioning how it's like in my top 5
Yeah, we were
episodes
glazed
of
on
all
that
time.
episode.
Exactly, and the acting that we got between Ralph Macchio and the deep fake Miyagi was phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
They took it to a next level with
Yep.
the of course William Zabka and Martin Cove, you know, kind of situation between the two. It was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Mm.
And it's like it's always emotional. Like, I mean, I don't know if I'm gonna get too deep into it, but especially for men when it comes to breaking down their emotions, you know, the way we're taught and the way things are. Just to see a grown ass man, a man that we've looked up to and a man that we've enjoyed watching since we were kids, kind of like when you left, like you treated me like trash. When you left, I didn't trust anybody, especially myself. Like that shit just kind of broke me as a person, you know? Like it's just like to see him and to see William Zabka like in his fucking bag breaking things like some of the best acting we've seen in the show.
And to
100%.
see Cove like feel
Yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
It
it's
was so important.
Yeah, and it's because if you look at if this would have happened in season 2 of Cobra Kai, this would have made no sense. And
Mhm.
it took the journey of both of them because we see in that flashback at the last episode of where he is before the events of Cobra Kai, like where he's going to his mom's grave. That growth for Johnny and the growth for Kreese got them to that point, thankfully,
Mhm.
before he had to sacrifice himself. So it was a perfect kind of like circle for both of them to finally reach that point where they could finally have that moment. Because if like Kreese got there first, but Johnny wasn't really there yet, it wouldn't have happened. Like at
Mhm.
first, that's what happened outside of the parking lot. It wasn't the right moment for that. But I think it was. Yeah, it's probably one of the best scenes in the entire franchise, including the films. It's a moment that has been building for decades, and now we finally
Yeah.
got it. And the way they pulled it off, because it could have came off cheesy or kind of like silly, like okay, like it's not believable. But thankfully, I think it was because Kreese was even questioning the death of Quan, and then he's sitting there at episode 11 going, "Wow, I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, and now someone has died because of it. A kid has died because of it." And like he would never have been here if I'd ever pushed him.
Because as much as
Ended up.
he's spouted off all these villainous, toxic things, in his mind, he's doing this for the kids.
Yeah.
And so when that happens, he's just and it's following his. It was one that was under his watch, and it was his knife, and
Yep.
it was him pressing this kid to go that distance
Mhm.
and not accept defeat, not give up, not all just pressure.
He was pushed out. He was pushed out of Cobra Kai.
It was the only thing that could make him see what he was doing.
Mm-hmm. He was pushed out of Cobra Kai. He was thrown in jail for not like he should have been thrown in jail for other things, but he was falsely imprisoned. A lot of layers of shit to where he finally got to that point where like I don't give a shit. I don't care who it is. We have to go and take everybody out. And Quan never would have been pushed that far if he didn't basically treat him like he treated Johnny.
Yeah.
Who knows if this was a situation decades ago and there was a knife in the situation, maybe Johnny would have actually killed himself. Who knows? It just happened to be this instance.
Oh, just noticed this. Want to say a
Oh,
big thank you.
Oh, cool.
Appreciate the love for the series. Appreciate you, North. You've been here for a while, so I do appreciate you.
There you go. But
I'll
yeah,
put that out there. Thank you.
but yeah,
My
beautiful
boy.
stuff there. Wrapping up the shit. Who is this?
Who's this
I
guy?
don't know.
Arriba. Sorry,
Who's this handsome bastard?
I don't know. I heard he's unchained though. That's what I heard.
A little bit.
A little bit unchained. But yeah, I hate the fact that the show's done, but I really hope we get spinoffs or something. I don't think Cobra Kai, Karate Kid Legends are going to have any of these characters in it, besides Daniel. So it'd be
Yeah,
cool
my
to have
only
like a
concern-
cameo or something, but I don't know.
Yeah, I know they are trying to like say or quell everybody's concerns about it because it was birthed without their knowledge while they were working on the final season.
Yep.
That they got to at least give their notes on the script to make sure there's not any discrepancies. Though my other thing is like because it's now they've confirmed it's supposed to be 3 years after this finale.
Mm-hmm.
But in the trailer, we see the Miyagi's estate, like the grounds, that whole property, and there's not a dojo out there at the moment. So it feels like, I don't know. I'm just a little. I'm keeping my eyes on you, movie, because I don't trust Sony.
Yeah, because before, I know the fact that the creators of the show had said that they had no connection or affiliation. Then eventually they got the notes. I'm hoping that when the films go out, they can finally start talking about, well, as long as Daniel, like it aligned with what we were trying to do with the show and it didn't really go too far, but we can't control, like, if they're saying that Daniel doesn't have, if he's not doing it anymore or what it is, or
Yeah.
taking a break. Maybe there's a story purpose, maybe why he is taking a break or something. And that's why there isn't one out there. Who's to say? I mean, I just don't, like I said, I don't have faith in it because these are a bunch of executives that saw the success of Cobra Kai and wants to revive the Karate Kid movie franchise.
Because I don't think it's coincidental at all. I mean, I know they were pushing for the anniversary date, but they ended up moving it. So that there was at least some distance from the finale, but it was announced when season 6 was announced to be the final season. So it just to me, just from the beginning was like, oh, this successful thing we got going is about to end. Let's go ahead and announce this. And that's that. And just like with the Spider-Man stuff, man, like they just make something to hold on to the IP.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is just a coattails thing, and they're just trying to capitalize on the success of people who genuinely love it. And I may just be too cynical about Sony at this point, but can you blame me, Sony?
They've made a lot of bad decisions. I don't trust it either because, like, it's not the same creators. It's a bunch of executives who came up with the idea. Let's just bring back the Karate Kid franchise, even though we've already had it back.
I don't think Ralph would sign on to anything that would be egregiously like out of pocket. But as far as like everything, like I feel like if anybody's going to make a movie, it should have been the people that brought this shit back in the first place.
I mean, they could have easily told a story that made sense for a film versus just another season of the show, but I don't know what it would be, but Yeah, I don't know. I wonder what's going to happen if the movie's successful. Does that mean we get a bunch more Karate Kid films, or does that mean we have more of a chance for a spinoff to be greenlit because this is showing that the success and everything is still on board?
Yeah.
Or does this film not perform well, and does that hurt the chance of a spinoff, or does it give them more of a chance to get a spinoff because TV's working, the movie side isn't? I
It's
don't
hard
know.
to say. It's really
That's-
hard to say.
That's Sony. So
What I do like is they're exploring the origins of Miyagi-Do in it, which I think is going to be fun.
oh yeah, and maybe that could help with a Miyagi, like prequel that could
Mhm.
help. But then again, the creators were not involved. All they just saw was after the fact and saw and just kind of gave notes. Like it wasn't
Mhm.
like they were brought in to kind of. Now it would be different if they were brought in early on to kind of help craft or give notes on the story as the scripts in the process, but they were brought in too late into the project to really have any impact.
Right.
And I don't think Sony wanted them to. And it's like, but they're the reason why you're even able to do this movie. Because if they didn't bring back Cobra Kai, you wouldn't have this IP to play with.
100%.
Yeah.
And without How I Met Your Mother, we wouldn't have gotten Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah.
Pay your respects where they are due. And without How I Met Your Mother, or without Friends, we wouldn't have had How I Met Your Mother.
So without How I Met Your Mother, we wouldn't have gotten Cobra Kai. It's full circle, bro.
Just keep
And
going
without
back.
Cheers, we wouldn't have gotten Friend. I'm playing
Without The Rock, we would have never gotten the
Pebble.
wheel.
the Pebble.
The Pebble.
Oh, man.
Like, because this is one of those franchises to me. Like, I liked the first movie. I liked it a lot as a kid and stuff like that. And like, but this is one of those few instances where I think like this property, this sequelization of it, retroactively makes all of it better. Like as supplementary information and stuff like that, and the way they like even the crazy, silly, over the top, goofy ass shit that happened in part 2, part 3, and stuff like that. The way they didn't shy away from it, but embraced it and then added these layers to everything. Like those movies on their own are pretty goofy in their own respects. And this, after having watched this show and rewatching them, they have such a stronger charm, I think, now than they even did before it.
Mm-hmm. That's true. I agree. Let's see. Have you guys seen where people are like posting cringe comments or cringe like points of Cobra Kai on TikTok? Have you seen this?
Like what kind of comments?
Well, like so, like though, like it's like from season 1. There's a shot of where Johnny circled around Cobra Kai. He's like, "You're Cobra Kai," and then Miguel's like, "Cobra Kai," and they're like,
okay, yeah.
And they're like posting
like Force 8, yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, it feels like it's forced. It's like it's funny how the internet has turned on the show, at least a part of the fandom has turned on the show because of the cringe of it. I was like, guys, it was never meant to be like the super serious. Like they take it super serious, but it's also fun and ridiculous. But
I mean, the show literally starts off with a 50-year-old man beating high school kids. Like that's a battery on minors. Like this is not a serious show. Like we need to grow up pair and realize that this is just a fun show.
You also have
bro.
In the woods, you have Stingray training like 10-year-old kids.
Yeah, bro.
It's like,
and then he's still responding to his mother.
Yeah,
like acting as if she's like some type of terrorist. And I'll do my laundry when I get home. You know? And
yeah.
I love
Stingray. I love that character.
It's a dramedy, man. It's like
man.
what do you expect?
Yeah,
100%.
And the show's been like this for quite some time, man. It's like I really appreciate what we've gotten with this show, and I understand what kind of show it is. Like when I recommend this show to people, I'm not telling them this is just going to be a hardcore karate show. Like this comedy, there's like some kid humor in here, like realistically, but it's deep, you know. But the Force 8 has been around for quite some time. We've gotten it with a lot of our favorite shows.
Oh yeah.
Shows that last a long time, like The Walking Dead got it for a while. You know, a lot of shows that last a long time.
Arrowverse.
You get that type of hate, And it sucks,
Arrowverse.
you know. Well, the Arrowverse, I'm not gonna sit here. I love the Arrowverse. Y'all know that. Chainsaw, me and you were reacting to that. Omni too. We've been reacting.
We were fighting to see who get their videos up first.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like to keep it a buck, I mean, like there's no defending certain.
There isn't. There isn't. But
You
there's
can't say that right after being like, it's no Walking Dead.
I'm sorry, no, but, dude. I'm sorry, but I feel like Arrowverse and The Walking Dead, they're a whole different level.
no.
I'm sorry.
They're
they're-
pretty. They're
She
pretty
was
one-to-one, I
flying in
think.
the finale. I don't remember what happened.
Oh well, there are people that act like there's nothing good. Like that era of DC was horrible. Like, oh, you can
It
criticize
ruined
shit.
their childhood.
Okay,
You can
yeah,
criticize shit in there all day, but you can't tell me if you genuinely watch the Flash season 1, 2, Arrow season 1 and 2, and all that shit. Those are some good stuff. That's some good stuff. You can't
Mhm.
say all of it was bad. Okay. It's just, you know, I understand. Like, there's stuff I don't like at all. Like, I can't stand that Velma show, can't stand The Boys and all that shit. But it's like at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's entertainment. It's stuff that you watch. So
Mhm.
it's fine. And there's always people haters. But yeah, for me, it's like Cobra Kai. Yeah, sure, you can point out things that are like cringe and shit, but the show is did
The
an
show
amazing
also
job.
knows some of it is like
Yeah.
they revel in the absurdity. Because I mean, it's born from absurdity in a lot of ways. Once you get out of the first film, okay, well, when the first film, I think the most absurd thing you could probably latch onto if you had to is just how Kreese was so like supportive of harassing and even threatening children.
Mm-hmm.
Like not his students as part of the lessons, but how he
Yeah.
was encouraging them, hunting down and torturing this kid.
Yeah.
But then that goes up to 11 in part 2 and 3.
Mm-hmm. And then even so, right before Silver's, you know, gets the boot from Kreese, he's like saying, "Yeah, let's I'm gonna send you to go and get Johnny's newborn baby." Like, I don't know. I don't think he meant like, oh, go kill her. But I don't know. Who knows
We
what
don't
would have
know.
happened? We
Who
don't know.
knows? That's where I jumped. I was like, "What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do, huh? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
What are you
You
gonna
just
do,
gonna
man?
go like hide him in a house somewhere and just like, oh, well, your kid's gone."
The fact
or
that
what
he
are
was
you-"
non-specific made it even more like uncomfortable.
Yeah, that
Like,
could have
when-
been up to Dennis's interpretation at that
which
point.
is which I think that was the whole point. Because it really doesn't matter because he was
'Cause
never
he
going to
doesn't
make it off
care.
the boat. No,
Yeah.
no. At that point, he's dying. He doesn't care what happens. He wants to win, and he's like, "Well, I can't pay the ref, and I can't do this, can't do this." Okay, this is the only thing I can think of to do. It's like, okay. So, yeah, wow.
But yeah, I mean, do you guys have anything else you guys want to discuss before we call it?
I'm just happy that I got to experience the show live in
Yep.
time. That's my thing.
Yeah.
Like, I would hate to have discovered the show years later after it's
Yeah.
already been done, and then go through it, and then like people are like, "Oh, you're so late." I'm like, well,
And there's certain shows I was kind of on board. That's kind of happened with me. Like Cobra Kai, I legit got my like when YouTube Red was a thing. I got the free subscription so I could watch it. You
mhm.
know. And
Mhm.
it's like this is one show I was really excited for because growing up, my mom was like super strict on like what we could watch, you know, and it was always
Mhm.
the big franchises that I watched, like Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Harry Potter, Karate Kid, stuff like that, you know, and I watched it and it was fantastic. So growing up, going to the library, renting out these movies, it was just when I heard that they were making Cobra Kai, I was like, dude, like I need to watch this, you know, and it's one of the first shows that I really watched on my channel that did well. So
When it
that
was-
was one thing. That was
And when it was
important.
announced, man, I just remember being like, "Is this like? This has to be a joke, right? What is this
Yeah.
going to be like?
It's like
is
one of
this-
those parody
Is
type
this like a
trailers.
parody? Is this tongue in cheek? Because it was also YouTube Red, so I was just like, is
Yeah.
this like just a higher budget, funnier die sketch? Like, what is this going to be?
Nobody knew what was going on because it's
And
like
I saw like a short little trailer for it, and I was like, okay, let's see what it. I already had Red because if you had an iPhone, you had to if you wanted to be able to listen to stuff with it locked.
oh yeah.
So I already had it. I was like, all right, whatever. I have this. I'm gonna check it out. And like I sat there for the next however long it took to catch up on everything. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing.
This is brutal. Let's put it out. I'm not that old, but
He
when
just
I was
he,
a,
he
when I
just
was a
turned
kid, it
40.
was like that cutoff, you know. Like
He just turned.
I just turned 25,
He's 40.
so it's
Don't lie to you.
I'm a
He's the youngest one
53-year-old
Yeah,
man. I'm retiring.
he's got that
second.
Ralph Macchio like jeans, man.
I
He's
got those.
40.
Yeah, I got the good skin.
Yeah, man.
But no, I mean, yeah. Again, I was renting out these movies in the library. I mean, it was just cheaper. It was the way to do things back then. You know, it wasn't a problem. But you know, it is what it is. But again, it's just like really appreciate what they did here. I'm glad that we were able to do this again. Me and Omni, we've been doing these discussions for quite some time. We had Matthew Haynes joining us a couple times too. Miss that man. But
Yeah.
it's been a really good show, and it's brought a lot of people to my channel, and I've appreciated everything they've done. So I don't know. I mean, I'm happy for it.
Mhm.
I'm
But-
just glad that it did what it set out to do.
Sure.
I don't feel like it overstayed its welcome. It went out, I feel like, on a high note, and I think that you don't really have that a lot, with these shows, especially that build this level of hype and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's always just wondering, like, okay, is it going to be satisfying? Is it going to suck? Like, there's a lot of hell. A lot of shows these days don't even get to tell their ending.
Yeah.
They just disappear one day.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And the fact that this survived for 6 seasons on Netflix is a miracle.
Yeah, the show's been going on for quite some time. I mean, what it
Yeah,
aired in
because-
2018? Was it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Normally, when it comes to Netflix, it's like 2 or 3 seasons, you're done. Now, I
And to
understand
be-
this situation, they picked it up after 2
Yeah.
seasons on YouTube Red, but I mean, there's no guarantee they could have gotten past season 3 or 4,
Right.
though. We're lucky.
And it's like, again, I'm happy that we were able to pick it up when it came out, because it's like there's a lot of shows I've watched where it's like past its prime. People are like, "Where have you been?" You know, like Smallville, even Game of
Mhm.
Thrones. I joined in like season 6, so it was like pretty late into it. But
Mhm.
with Cobra Kai, we were able to like be there for all the hype, whether it was like the small hype we got in the first 2 seasons, and then it going to Netflix, and the fan base just expanded.
Mhm.
You know, so to be able to witness everything, it's been a blessing. So
Because it was booming for YouTube Red too at the time, which isn't huge, but for it to get the attention that it did while it was still there, the only reason it went to Netflix is because YouTube Red was pulling their scripted content. They were pulling away from that sector.
Mhm.
So it just needed to go somewhere because they weren't going to be producing it anymore. So
Wasn't season 3 already done? They just weren't going
that's
to
what I
air it.
thought.
Yeah,
you
it
know.
was already
Yeah, it was
season
already
3 was
done.
already ready to go, but
Yeah.
it needed a place to sit.
to go.
And for Netflix to even invest, because even after season 3, like, it's not like they penny pinched by any means. Hell, they were able to do a lot more. They traveled the world. They shot in different locations and stuff like
Mhm.
that. Hell, in this last season, the camera quality and the cinematography was vastly improved. Like, I don't know. I'm glad that it got the respect it deserved, and it got to do this on its own terms by the end of it.
Mhm. Yep.
But yeah, I mean, again, I think we've all said what we needed to say. Chainsaw, I appreciate you coming.
Of course.
I mean, I know. I feel like I woke you up. So good morning.
No worries.
And Omni Man, man, I truly do appreciate you as a
Omni,
creator.
not Omni Man.
Omni Man. Did I say Omni Man? I
Yeah.
drank too much tonight, my man.
No, I was just messing with you because, like,
I would have
we
taken.
put man at the end of most of our sentences, and I was just like, I want to make sure that I am not Omni Man.
But
I do not take responsibility for all those murders.
for the train murders. But yeah, Omni Man. Omni Man, separate. I appreciate you, man, as a creator and as a friend, man, and I appreciate you've been doing this with me for years, man, and I do really appreciate you coming around and doing this. Even though there was 3 parts in the season, we usually stick the landing at one discussion per season, but you've been here for 3
Well,
parts. So I
we
appreciate
haven't
you.
been in this situation before with any of the
Never,
other ones.
never.
Why not? Why not talk about Cobra Kai
For
more?
sure, for sure. I always look for an excuse to talk about the show, but man, same thing with you, Chainsaw, man. I appreciate you both, man. You guys we've been doing this shtick for quite some time, and
Ready to retire.
you don't get a pension. Just want to put that out there, but
Yeah.
you both have been really, really cool to watch, and as I've been doing this, creating shit, so I appreciate both of you guys as creators and friends. But this is our last Cobra Kai stream, at least for now, until maybe we do. I'm hoping to do a Karate Kid Legends stream if you guys are down for that, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
For sure. I'm still like wondering, like,
yeah,
I covered so much Cobra Kai. Do I want to wait to react to it?
That's
or
kind
do I
of
wanna
where
go
I'm
see
at.
it? And I'm just like,
Yeah.
but why don't know what I want to do there.
Let me know what you decide to do. Because I mean, if you hold out, I feel like I gotta hold out, and then we'll do a live stream, man. The show will be fire. But
We'll see.
a big thank you to both of you guys, and again for everyone that's been here. I mean, I know for me personally, these reactions didn't do as amazing for the last part. I still haven't even dropped my finale reaction. We're working a lot. We're busy. No pun intended. But
Yeah, he's too busy. Yeah.
I'm too busy. But I appreciate
Hey,
everyone
man.
that's been here, and again, especially you two. You guys have been fantastic. And I guess for now, everyone, you guys want to plug your channels? Say where everyone can find you.
I'm gonna go first.
You can find me over
Omni,
here
man.
at Omni Media, everywhere, reacting to all kinds of crap. Just
Sure.
caught up on Reacher season 3, so let's fucking go.
I heard Reacher's in
Fire.
it.
Oh, is he? The first
I
3
heard,
episodes.
I heard Reacher's in the
Pretty fire.
episodes. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Dude, don't
crazy.
spoil it for everybody.
Alan,
God.
Alan Richardson's in it. Yeah.
Boo.
Boo. Not my Batman.
Not my
On my
Batman.
Hawk.
Yeah.
Not my Aquaman.
I forgot
How
he
about you,
was
bro?
Hawk. Yeah. Chainsaw Reacts, of course, everywhere. Just slowly getting back into things. Was taking a bit of a break, and still at times feel like I need to take a break or more of a break. But yeah, Council Creators every Wednesday. The chaos ensues, and hopefully we're done with the drama. That's a behind the scene thing. But yes, Council Creators every Wednesday. Chainsaw Reacts, and yeah, I'm trying to push myself to get back into more content creation outside of TikTok. That's just easy to do though. So yeah.
And again, hopefully we'll do more streams, more reactions. We've been doing stuff on TikTok, but we've been very busy. I have an adult job now, so that's where my priorities been. But for now, guys, I just want to say thank you. And again, I've said my piece to Chainsaw and Omni. I've been sappy. I've said what I needed to say.
Yeah, sappy.
So again, thank you guys, and we'll see y'all soon. Hopefully, we'll plan on a Karate Kids Legends stream. So stay
Hell
tuned.
yeah.
And, peace out, guys.
Later.